Hey, it's mskelliemichele. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, so today's video, I am going to go over questions that I have received either through my Facebook group or on YouTube from people who have been following me and just need information about midterm rentals. So we are going to go over 10 questions that I have received over the last couple of months, and we're just going to answer those questions right here for you guys, okay? Alright, so the first question is, should a prospective tenant pay for a background and credit check? Yes, they should. Now, I know some people might take on this cost themselves, but I always make my potential guests pay for their own background checks and credit checks. This is what I would consider the application fee. So whatever the fee is, I just pass it on to them. They pay for it. I haven't had any problems. Now, there has been one person who basically said they did not want to do a credit check for a 3-month assignment, which I was like, okay, that's fine. You won't stay in my property. But that's also a red flag. If someone doesn't want to do a background or credit check, then there might be something that they're hiding. This is pretty standard. Even if you are renting a place, a long-term rental for yourself, you always have to do some type of a credit check and background check whenever you're renting. So that's standard. Yes, I let the potential guest or have the potential guest pay for it, and that's just it. All right, so the next question, number 2. What deadline or expectations do you set regarding prospective tenants returning their deposit and signing the lease before you move to the next prospect? Okay, so this is at the beginning stages when you are trying to secure someone for your property. If they say they want my property and they have gone through the process of the credit check and background check and everything looks okay, and I say you're approved, 3 days is enough for them to pay the deposit and sign the lease. Now, I do everything electronically, so realistically, it should not take that long. Now, if I see after day number 2 that they still haven't signed the lease or paid the deposit, I will send a follow-up message to them just to say, hey, you need to do this by this date. And I often state that up front as well when I say they're approved and I give them the next steps. I do give a deadline. So if they don't do it within that deadline, it's time to move on to the next person. All right. Number 3, how close should the rental be to a hospital? The rental I'm buying is about 25 minutes or 20 miles from a major hospital. Okay, so this kind of varies. Now, from my experience, most traveling medical professionals want to be as close as possible to the hospital. So within 10 minutes is pretty safe. Now, there are some people who don't mind driving a little bit further away. Now, this could be because they are paying a cheaper price, so they don't mind driving a little bit further. Or they have not found a rental close to the hospital that they would like to stay in. Like they don't feel comfortable, or they didn't like the rentals, or there just wasn't anything around for them to stay in, so they're driving a little bit further. So that would be the answer. For the most part though, within 10 minutes of a hospital would be the best option. Number 4, for those of you with midterm rentals, how do you set up your televisions? I'm thinking about smart TVs and internet, allowing folks to log into their own Netflix, Hulu, etc. But I'm not sure how that goes over. How are you setting yours up? Okay, so for me, I only do streaming. So I have, of course, internet with Wi-Fi, and then I have smart TVs, or if it's a TV that's not a smart TV, I'll turn it into a smart TV by adding a Fire Stick, or you could add a Roku to turn it into a smart TV. And then I allow them to use streaming services, but I do download apps that are free where they can watch free movies and free TV shows and things like that. That's part of Amazon Prime. Now, I do pay for a Amazon Prime subscription for my business so that all of the TVs can use that Prime account. So I do that, but that would be it. If they have Hulu or Netflix or anything else like that, they have to use their own login information. All right, number 5, for those that manage their own properties, is it always expected that the tenant be present for when you yourself as the owner or the person who's controlling the property is repairing something? Okay, so is it expected for the tenant to be present when something needs to be repaired? So It is not a requirement, but as a courtesy, I do ask my tenants if it's okay for the handyman to come into the property if they're not there, or if they want to be there or want me to be there. So according to my lease, it's not a requirement. If we have to get in and do something, it's not a requirement that, you know, they have to be there. We can come in at any time. I just give it as a courtesy because some people feel different ways about that. They're not comfortable letting strangers in the house when they're not there. So that is why I do it that way. But it is not a requirement. It's up to you, but it is a courtesy. All right. At least giving them 24 hours. Now that's a requirement. 24 hours usually to let someone know or let the guest know that someone will be entering the properties is pretty standard, and that's in most leases. Okay. All right. So do you provide snow removal service for your midterm rentals? I do not provide snow removal services for the properties that aren't like managed by a management company. So what I do is I do provide salt. So what I do is I take, I'll go buy these little plastic containers. They're like, you know, just storage containers with a top on it, like a shoebox size, right? And I fill it up with salt, and then I put a little dipper or some scooper in there, and I leave it at the property, and I go fill it up as needed, right? I'll check with the guest and just say, hey, you know, do you need more salt? Is everything okay? Whenever I know that it has snowed. I haven't had any issues with that, but I do not provide snow removal services. I specifically say, you know, you are responsible for putting salt down on the walkways. The salt will melt the ice or snow, you know, and keep it pretty good, you know, as long as they put it down. So that's all I do. Okay. But at some of my properties, the management company or HOA takes care of snow removal, so I don't have to worry about that. All right. When clients stay that long, do they have squatters' rights? Okay. So basically they're saying when a potential guest stays for a month or 3 months or however long they decide to stay, do they have squatters' rights? For the state of Missouri, in order for you to have squatters' rights, I believe you have to occupy the property for 10 years. Each state has their own laws around squatters. So you need to go look that up for your particular state to see what the squatter rules and laws are to make that determination. But for someone who stays for a month or 2 or 3 months, normally, no, they don't get squatters' rights. On top of that, I have them sign a lease. So therefore, you know, we have some kind of agreement to say you are supposed to be here at this point to this point, or, you know, every 30 days or something like that. We do have something in writing to make sure I can take legal action. Okay. Number 8. We're on number 8. Are you worried that owners may take over and not renew your lease once you provide proof of concept for them? Okay, so this is in the case of rental arbitrage. They're asking, am I scared or worried that the owner will not renew the lease and just start doing the business themselves? No, I'm not. Because all of my owners that I rent from know exactly what I'm doing. They know the concept of the business. They just want cash flow. They don't necessarily want to worry about managing the property. They just want their cash flow. They don't want the responsibility. They don't want to do the work. They just want to sit back and let that money come into their account every month. So no, I'm not worried about it. Now, I have had one owner ask me because she was just interested in learning it. But she never went any further. So she didn't, I pretty much gave her my course information and she didn't go any further. So she wasn't that interested in doing it. So I'm not worried about it. And she renewed my lease after that. So not worried. Now I do have long-term rentals myself. So I know kind of both sides of it. I can tell you I enjoy getting my check every month, right? I have a property management company that manages my long-term rentals. I don't want to do anything with those. I'm working on my midterm rentals. I manage those. I don't touch those long-term rentals. I like that money coming into my account every month and it's always good. All right. Okay. So number 9, I got a quick question. I got a rental property that's in Memphis the neighborhood is not so good. Will it work for traveling nurses? Or does the neighborhood have to be A plus? So the neighborhood does not have to be A plus, but it cannot feel unsafe or be unsafe. So maybe if you have a working class neighborhood, so maybe it might be a B or something like that, it's okay. As long as it's safe, that's all that matters. If it's a place that you would not stay in yourself, then no, it's not going to work at all, you know. So when people are traveling for work, that's the number one thing. They want to be safe and they want a clean property. So if one of those or either one of those just doesn't check the box, they're out. Okay. So yeah, if it's not a great neighborhood, don't even think about it. Turn it into a long-term rental. Now, the reason why, and I'm going to go into my situation, I have long-term rentals that I have not switched over or tried to do midterm rentals with, even though I know I can make more money. It's because of the locations. I can't do it. So I leave them as long-term rentals, and that's just a long-term retirement plan and, you know, cash flow plan for me, myself, and I. So whatever. All right. Number 10, last one that I'm going to give to you today. So if you had a husband and a wife travel nurse team rent your midterm rental, would you add a percentage to your rent? I would not. So I look at it as I am charging you for the entire place. I'm not charging per person. Now, if I was renting per room, that would be a different story. But it really doesn't matter what your spouse is doing, because I have people who come all the time. They say they're just going to be in the property, but they have their boyfriend or their spouse there or whatnot. So it really kind of doesn't matter who else is coming into the property and whether or not they are a traveling nurse. This person rented the property, and this is the rate. That's it, you know. So what you could do is you could possibly maybe do a fee if the utilities go up because there are additional people in the property. So with it being just one other person, utilities probably won't go up. But let's just say one person rents the property and then you find out that 2 other people are living there and they're splitting the cost. Well, if your utility bills go up, then you could potentially charge a fee to cover the extra cost of utilities, because it wasn't supposed to be 3 people. It was supposed to be 1. And now that's, you know, basically becoming a accrued cost or increased cost for you, which is not good. And that's decreasing your profit. So that's something you could do. But no, if it's just a husband and wife and they happen to both be traveling nurses working on a contract, that's not my business. Hey, it is what it is. This is what I'm charging. I'm making my money. So that's just it. All right. So those are 10 questions that I've received. I just answered them all for you guys. Now, if you want to learn about getting into the midterm rental business or corporate rental business, you can check out my course below. The link is below. You can check that out. It is a self-study course, so you can go ahead and do that. Also, I often put little freebies and things below in the description, as well as how you can work with me one-on-one. So make sure you check out the description. Like and subscribe this video so you can continue to see future videos and follow my journey. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.